All right. Welcome, everybody, to Community Cooking with the Co-op. I'm Paul Addis. I'm a librarian at the Coos Bay Public Library. And with us tonight, we have Tim Bolster, the outreach coordinator at Coos Head Food Co-op. Also, oh, sorry. Hold on. I got to mute somebody. Hold on. Sorry, y'all. Technical difficulties. But yeah, we have Alan Bartle behind the camera. Like I said earlier, I will be recording this. We love to see you on the camera. Hey, Alan. But understand if you want to turn your cameras off because we will be posting this on the library's YouTube channel. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in chat and I'll feed them to our chefs, or you can respectfully unmute and just ask your questions. With that, let's go ahead and get started. It's all yours, Kelly. Oh, and I forgot to introduce our cook, Kelli Bosak, who's also our community yoga instructor at the library and also has a new position of some kind, but I think she's like a social worker, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Kelli.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening, everyone. We're excited to have you for community cooking. Tim's going to introduce our recipe.
Oh, cool. We're going to make one pot Massaman Curry. It's Thai curry, and it's good for this weather today because it's rainy and cold, and this is going to be a very warming, filling, soul nourishing recipe. So,
great.
Awesome.
Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the tofu?
Yeah, we'll start with our protein. So a couple of people have shared that the protein they chose was not tofu. So if you are making chicken or shrimp, I heard, you can follow your normal instructions for cooking that. If it's a really quick cook, you can add it to cook right into the curry when you think the timing is right. But we'll talk kind of through that as well. But we're going to walk you through the tofu first. So initially we pressed our tofu. So I took the tofu out of the container, or at the co-op, you can buy it in bulk in the vegetable section of the co-op. And we pressed it between two plates with paper towels. So this allowed a lot of the moisture to come out of it. So now we can do a really quick marinade of the tofu in some sesame oil and soy sauce. So we're gonna take our block of tofu. We have this nice square of tofu, and I like to eat my tofu in little squares. So I'm gonna cut it kind of do 3 cuts in this direction. I try and make them even, but you know, doesn't always work out.
So essentially, it's going to be bite-sized cubes when it's all done.
Yeah, and you basically just make the cubes about as small as you would like.
I like to cut them in triangles, so you do you.
And then, so you have to cut it on 3 sides to cut it all the way.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Nice.
And then once you've cut your tofu, you can put it in a bowl and kind of separate all the pieces from each other. And this is why we chose extra firm tofu. Tofu can come in different levels of firmness. The less firm tends to be soft and crumbles more easily, or just it's just really less firm. So I find it easier to cook dishes like this or to bake or fry it when it's extra firm. And the semi-soft, soft, or just firm are better in dips or other types of dishes that you might make. So now that we have our cubed tofu, we're going to do a quick marinade. Tim is going to add just a little bit of soy sauce. You can just dribble a tablespoon or so of soy sauce, and then some sesame oil.
I don't have any sesame.
Did you have any oil?
I have olive oil. Will that work?
Sure.
Okay.
We're improvising. If you have sesame oil, I would drizzle a little bit of sesame oil. That will give you that sesame kind of richness, that sesame quality. If you don't, that's okay. Just use a little bit of olive oil or any other neutral oil that you might have that you cook with.
Cool.
And then, Tim, can I have one of those little mixers?
Yes.
And then you're going to toss the tofu in with the marinade.
So that's just tofu, soy sauce, and oil.
Yep.
Yeah. Ideally sesame oil, but whatever oil you have works great.
And this is an example of if you're coming home and you just need to make a dinner for the evening and you did not pre-plan. if you would like, you can always marinate your tofu in the morning before you go to work or before you go out for the day. And then you can leave it in the refrigerator and it will be a little bit more flavorful. But I don't always plan that far in advance.
Yeah.
Sometimes I marinate 5 minutes before I cook it. Sometimes I marinate it an hour or however much time you have. So this still really gives us a lot of coating and flavor for the tofu, especially pressing it is going to absorb it a little bit more. Once you feel like it's well coated, you are going to put the tofu on the baking sheet. This is going to go in the oven. On the recipe, you'll see that there are two options. You can bake the tofu or you can saute it. So if you don't have access to an oven, you just have a hot plate or a frying pan or you're camping or something, you can saute it on the stove. And you would probably just add a little bit more oil to prevent sticking.
Are you using parchment paper there?
Yeah.
Cool.
Which you don't need necessarily, but it'll make the cleanup a little easier.
True.
Yeah. And baking it is a little more hands-off, so we can do the other things we need to do while this bakes in the oven.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So we have the tofu on the baking sheet and we're going to put it in the oven for about 20 minutes.
Cool.
Tim, do you want to start the rice?
I do.
Maybe give people.
Are y'all going to start a timer for us?
Yes, we got 20 minutes going.
Cool,
so you can start your own timer, but we can also be your timer because
you're putting it in at the same time as Kelly. They're running their timer at 20.
That's going right now.
Cool.
And I'll just say, so are the grain that we chose to serve with the rice, or so to serve with this curry is rice. The alternatives that we list on there were quinoa. You could also have this without an extra grain like quinoa or rice. You could just add more vegetables if you're trying to reduce your carbs that you're consuming and you don't want to have rice on the side too. So that
noodles could work well.
Noodles, rice noodles,
yeah.
delicious.
Yeah, that would be a great option. It's like a dish with gravy, so it is nice to pour it over something like rice, in my opinion. But I love rice, so.
Yeah, and curry is more of a sauce than a soup. So typically you would have it with something like a grain, or some other type of alternative or gluten-free alternative.
Are you guys using brown or white rice?
Good question. We're doing white rice. So the ratio will be 1-to-1. So I'm going to do, I think, 1.5 cups of white rice.
Okay.
If there's like more than 2 of you, I think if there's, 2 to 5 of you, I think this should be enough. Maybe 2 cups if there's 5 or more. But so I did 1.5 cups of rice. I'm going to do 1.5 cups of water and then just turn it low.
All right.
And sometimes I err on the side of like a little extra water, like an extra tablespoon or so of water, just so that it doesn't cook too fast and dry out before the rice is soft, ready to eat.
I always do the same.
Yeah. So we're going to cover this. The rice is in there with the water. We're going to cover it up and actually turn it up pretty high, medium high. Our first step is just to get it boiling.
Mm-hmm.
And then once it's boiling, we'll turn it down to low and let it simmer with the cover on for as long as it needs, essentially. So
cool.
I'm going to take this and move it over to our stove because it's hotter over here. So first step is get it boiling. If yours ends up boiling before mine does, keep the cover on and just turn the heat down to low.
Gotcha. I'm thinking it would be good with brown rice too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This depends on, it'll change the flavor a little bit just because brown rice is a little more of that nutty texture.
Yeah.
It can also be good. Curry's great, also with leftover rice.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or cauliflower rice. I know some people are experimenting with cauliflower rice. That's another great alternative.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Lots of options.
Awesome.
Okay.
Right.
How's everybody doing in their kitchens? Cool.
I see some great thumbs up.
Yes, lots of thumbs up. We like that.
Thumbs up. Wonderful. So if you're ready to move on to the curry preparation, we have our protein and our grains cooking. We're going to go to the main event, the actual Massaman Curry. So with this curry, we'll have a combination of spices with curry paste, peanut butter, some curry powder. So curry really is a sauce that's seasoned with spices. And this one also has coconut milk as the base, so it tends to be creamier. So that helps balance out a lot of the heat. With this curry, depending on the curry paste that you have, depending on its intensity, it could be pretty spicy. So if you really want to err on the side of caution, put less curry paste, and then you can always add more. You can always level up. It's very hard to reduce the spice level that's already in there. So we experimented with the red curry paste from the co-op, and oh my gosh, it was like 4 out of 5 stars on the spice level. It was very hot.
Yeah,
so
Jamie, yeah.
I think we might go a little bit lower when we make it today.
And we like spice too, but we were still sweating eating that meal.
But I bought other curry paste, I think at like the the food service store, and that was much more mild.
Okay.
And I had to add more. So
err on the side of caution.
So we're going to start with cutting up some of our vegetables. So we'll start with the onion. So if you haven't cut up your onion, we'll start with the onion. So when I cut up an onion, I like to cut off the ends first. And for a curry, I like to make the onions kind of longer. So instead of chopping and dicing the onion, I'm going to create longer little pieces of onion. Then you actually get to eat it more like a vegetable.
Nice.
So I'm just gonna, sometimes when you cut off the ends, you actually get to peel off.
So you're kind of peeling off the skin.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which is less glamorous than normal.
Now, depending on preference, could people dice it up smaller if they...
Sure. Or if you really don't like onion. I know some people really don't like onions, and it upsets them. It's not great for their tummy or other health reasons. You can always omit an onion.
Sure.
So once it's peeled, I'm gonna cut it in half and then put the cut side on the cutting board and then just cut it long ways. So I have these nice long slices of onion. Kind of like you would cut a tomato if you're cutting wedges of a tomato, but a little bit thinner.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And then just watch out for your fingers.
Please.
Tricky.
Keep the digits.
Yes.
Okay. Once we have our onion, we're going to start heating up the oil on the stove in our big pot. With a curry, you want a big pot, so you could be using kind of this big saucepan like we have. This is a medium-sized saucepan. You could also, sometimes we use a big cast iron pot, which is also really nice too. You can also keep it warm in the oven too. So you just need a bigger pot, bigger than you'd think. Then you just have extra room for more veggies and liquid. So we're waiting for the pot to heat up, and then you'll add in about 2 tablespoons of oil.
All right.
For heating up the oil.
And I know a couple people have logged on recently. Do you need help? Are you cooking along and need help getting started? Anybody? Right now we have our tofu cooking in the oven. What else do we prep besides the tofu? Oh, we're making our rice. And then Kelly's starting to heat oil in the pot to make the curry. Feel free to unmute or put in chat if you need any help. Oh, Jennifer would like you to hold up the red curry paste again so she can see it.
The one that we got.
If you want, Alan, maybe we can put it right in front of this camera right here.
There it is.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kelly.
This is a really spicy one. I think there's another brand. I think it's like Thai Kitchen or something. It's a different one. You'll find that at Safeway or Fred Meyer.
Okay.
Seems to be a little bit milder, but sometimes you never know.
Sure.
The co-op was out of the red when we were there, so we picked up the yellow.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. So every curry paste is going to be made differently with different spices and different peppers. So like a green curry paste is the raw chilies. And then the red curry paste is when they're dry. So they tend to be spicier, more intense.
Mm-hmm.
So the spices and the flavor profile will be different, but it will still be delicious. It will just be subtly a different flavor. It's not going to be bad.
Yeah, and it's still going to taste like curry. It's not going to be vastly different, but I think yellow curry has turmeric in it and probably a couple different spices maybe. But
isn't Massaman usually done with the yellow traditionally?
We found red or yellow.
Oh, okay. Oh, Kelly, somebody wanted to know what you have your burner on. What temp? Like medium or?
This thing needs, like, you need to turn this hot kind of plate up to really get it going. I would say medium to medium high is probably what people want.
Cool. So Karina, yeah, medium to medium high. And somebody asked if it needed to be red curry. Obviously not. It could be any curry paste, right?
Yeah. It could be. There is a debate. So if you did Google this question, which I did earlier today, you will find that some people say it is interchangeable. Others say it is not interchangeable. And so I'm sure if we got some chefs in here, there would be a really interesting conversation. But I think for our purposes of today, the flavor profile will be different. However, you will not make a bad meal.
And plus, at community cooking, we're all about making it your own. So do whatever you want. It's your kitchen.
Do whatever you can. If you don't have the curry paste and you just have curry powder, just add a little more of that and it will be delicious.
Awesome.
So once you think that your olive oil is heated up on the stove top, you'll add in your onion.
Okay.
And so you should hear that onion start to cook a little bit. Can I have one of those? And you'll want a little wooden spoon or other stirrer to coat the onions in oil, whichever oil you're using. Some people use coconut oil. We have olive oil. Another neutral oil will work. And then you want the onions to just start cooking, sauteing, stirring it frequently. You don't want the onions to brown or burn.
Okay.
We're not caramelizing them. So we're not cooking them down to like a sweetness of any kind.
Right.
Translucent babies.
If you're okay keeping the onions a little bit on a low to medium while they cook slowly, we'll go back to stir. We are going to start cutting up a few other vegetables.
Cool.
Start with carrots?
Tim's going to start with the carrots.
Okay, cool.
So we have 2 carrots. You'll see on the recipe that there are listed several vegetables. We recommended carrots, celery, potatoes. If you have any vegetables that don't work well with your health or you're trying to avoid or use or that you love, for example, I love peas and broccoli, so I always add those in. You can switch up which vegetables you use or whichever ones you have on hand.
Nice.
So sometimes just whatever veggies you have in the frozen drawer in your refrigerator or your freezer work well. But this
Kelly, Maxine had a question I don't understand. She said, using sambas olek?
Yeah, that's a great spice.
Oh, spice. Okay.
What I've seen people use that is they don't use it in cooking. You would make your curry and then have it as a condiment.
Oh, okay.
So you could then add in sambal olek into the curry if you wanted to add extra flavor or spice.
So what kind of flavor is that?
It's spicy.
Oh, cool. So, good question, Maxine.
Yeah, you might see it like, for example, if you go to get pho, they would have sambal olek and you could add it into your pho or as a dipping sauce. It's similar but different from sriracha.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
I've used it in marinades for tofu as well. It's very good.
Oh, nice.
So if you wanted your tofu to be spicy, you could use sambal olek, soy sauce, a little bit of oil, and marinate it in that.
Jennifer was saying it's good to add to chili.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. So Tim cut up the carrots.
I just cut them however you want. I just cut them into small circles.
All right.
Kind of thin so they cook quickly.
Sure.
I'm going to cut up the celery.
Want me to do some potatoes?
We'll
do one at a time.
Pace ourselves.
We'll pace ourselves.
And in a curry, you kind of like Tim did with the carrots, the pieces are slightly bigger. So you don't want to dice the vegetables too small. You actually kind of want to see them in your curry.
Cool.
However, just the thickness of the carrot, I'm realizing some of my pieces are a little bit bigger than like bite size, so I'm just cutting them in half. But your preference, do whatever you like.
Definitely. All right. All right, everybody's looking busy in their kitchens. I like it.
Absolutely.
Get the vegetables chopped.
And if you're working on your celery, your carrots, your next step would also be to cut up your potatoes.
So you could start on that. I'm sure our onions are getting pretty close.
And then I think we're just going to, so Tim's going to cut up one of our potatoes, and then we have everything cut.
Okay.
Our onions are looking good.
And I'm just going to keep the skin on the potato. You can peel it. If that's a kind of a personal preference thing too. These are just washed, and we're going to just keep the skin on. Yes, Chef?
Yes.
Skin on? Okay.
Yes, Chef. Totally up to you.
Kathy had asked how to access the full recipe. We don't always get the full recipe, but Kelli did provide us with it. So I just put a link to the event on the library's calendar, and at the bottom is all the ingredients and the recipe and instructions.
Nice. And this is like easily one of my favorite dishes. It's like I'm always just like so ready to have a saucy curry over rice.
Delicious.
It's just like it's like comfort food.
Yeah.
So if you're not super familiar, I think you'll enjoy it.
Also, even better the next day, once all the spices absorb, and it's just so delicious and creamy and yummy.
And it has potatoes.
It's potatoes delicious.
That's why I love Massaman Curry.
Exactly. Not everything will have potatoes. Not every curry.
No.
So once you finish your carrot, celery, and potato, or any other vegetable that you have, you'll just have that on your cutting board or on a plate. We will add that into the curry once we have the spices and the coconut milk and some other things in there.
Okay.
So now we'll turn our attention back to the stove where we have our onions cooking. The onions look pretty well sauteed right now. So what we're going to do next is add the curry powder. Is this the curry powder? So we add this curry powder from the bulk section at the food co-op. We are going to add in 2 teaspoons of the curry powder. So the powder is the powder form of the spice versus the paste, which is what comes in the little glass container. So you'll just take the curry powder, 2 teaspoons, and add it right in with the onion. And then grab your spoon or stirring device and start stirring that curry powder to coat the onion.
Kelli, Jennifer had asked how much of the extra veggies. She said she couldn't locate frozen peas.
Oh yeah. It's totally up to you. I am a very veggie heavy individual. And so I just will throw in like
everything,
a half cup, maybe, depending on how much curry you're making. So you can overload your curry. So you do want to have a nice balance and not too many. So I would pick, this recipe really says maybe 4 different types of veggies, including potatoes. That would be included in it. You can make it as simple or as big as you'd like.
Cool.
But it's not supposed to be as complicated as like a minestrone soup.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to like clearly see the few different vegetables that are in there.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So your onions will have that curry powder covered in them. And they have probably been cooking with this curry powder for about a minute. You might start to smell some of the aroma of the curry powder, which can start to really warm up the room, make everybody start to be really hungry and come and ask when dinner's ready.
It's smelling good in here.
Yeah.
You guys are torturing Alan.
Yeah.
You'll then locate your curry paste, whichever curry paste you're using. And this recipe calls for 1 to 2 tablespoons. Since I know that this curry paste that we showed you is pretty spicy. I'm just gonna do, Tim, you tell me what you're comfortable with. Where you wanna go? How many spices? How much spice level?
What did we do last time?
We did 1 tablespoon.
Let's start with half a tablespoon.
Yeah.
And then we can kick it up a notch if.
Definitely. And Maxine had said my curry is curry madras. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That will be a little bit, is it a paste or is it like a soup, like a soup?
I think it's a paste.
Or the powder?
It's powder.
Oh yeah. You can use that curry powder. So we added curry powder. I'm just gonna add this really quick because it's starting to get smelly. But so we added curry powder first. If you don't have the curry paste, I would just double the curry powder.
Cool.
And then it won't be spicy. There will be a lot of spices, but it won't be like hot spicy.
Right.
And you could always add sriracha, sambal oelek towards the end if you want to make it spicy.
Give it a little kick.
Hot sauce, like Mexican hot sauce, doesn't really go well. That kind of spice does not go well with this kind of curry. It's a different pepper, totally different pepper.
Okay, do we add the curry paste now to the onion mixture?
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
So in the pot right now, we have the onions. We put 2 tablespoons of curry powder, and we put half a tablespoon of curry paste.
Of the red curry paste.
Cooking and getting very aromatic and getting friendly with each other in the pot right now.
And that only takes about a minute. Now we're going to start adding our vegetables in.
All right.
We just added the celery. And our timer just went off for our tofu. So in a minute, we're going to go check on it after we add these vegetables.
All right.
Vegetables are all getting dumped in.
We'll also, So the tofu will not, it will be okay if we wait a couple of minutes to check on it.
Oh, good.
It's not as finicky as meat.
Okay, good.
With a quick stir, we're probably safe to step away and go check on the tofu for a moment.
So you want to coat all the vegetables in the onion mixture, the onion spice mixture. And we're gonna cook them another 2 minutes or so. We want to try and get the spices on the vegetables before we add the liquid.
Are you on a low heat there, Kelly?
I would be using about a medium heat right now.
Okay.
Depending on your
burner
stove, on your burner.
I think I'll check on the
thickness of your pan. I use some pretty cheap pans sometimes and things burn very easily. So this is a thicker pan.
Let me check the tofu?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna check on it.
We decided to add a little bit of broccoli, so I'm just gonna add our broccoli that was frozen.
Awesome.
Tim checking on the tofu.
Okay, pretty good.
Do you want to show it to us?
Sure. Overhead camera. It's starting to brown.
Can I do a little pasta?
Yes. We're just gonna toss the tofu, stir it around.
This looks good.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Is it done or does it need more time?
It might be done.
And right now, this tofu is a little bit, like I'm touching it because it's not gonna, just touching the edges lightly. It's very hot, so don't burn yourself. It's kind of spongy, so if you want it crispier, if you really want that crisp, you could go a little bit longer, like probably another 5 minutes, but it's probably also totally fine to take out.
So it's up to you. We like it crispy. Should we go an extra, like 5 minutes or so?
Let's do it.
Cool. So if you want a little crispier, maybe throw it in for another 5 minutes.
Vegan chicken McNuggets.
Yeah, there you go.
Yesterday I had vegan. Jaden made vegan tacos. So it was just crumbled tofu with like taco seasoning and different things like that. And it's so good.
Nice.
Okay, all our vegetables are in the pot. Got our spices, we got our curry paste. And by spices, I mean curry powder.
How's everybody doing with their tofu? Does anybody have any questions about if it's ready or?
Feel free to unmute if you have any questions.
if it looks horrible.
And it's kind of your preference. It just really depends. I'm sure by now your tofu is going to taste great.
And
if you want a little extra crisp to it.
If you bought we had used extra firm, and I think the tofu from the bulk section, like the bulk container at the co-op, is very firm. If you buy it in the little plastic container, even if it's extra firm, I think it still tends to be a little bit less firm than the tofu at the co-op.
In the bulk.
So it might take a little bit longer. If there's more water in it, it might take a little longer. So the good thing with tofu is you can eat it raw. And so there's not going to be any harm to you if it's mushy on the inside. It's just going to be a fun texture, kind of like a marshmallow. Sure. Ooh, can you air fry it? I do not own an air fryer, so I have no idea, but I totally imagine you could.
Yes, you can.
Alan says yes.
Yes.
Alan, how have you done it?
Oh, well, I mean, I've used the air fryer from the library, and I air fried like some zucchini.
Cool.
And it was like, oh my God, this is really delicious.
Cool.
You can rent out an air fryer from the library?
Yeah, I was going to say that, but Alan beat me to it. That's awesome that he's checked it out already.
Yeah. I love it.
When I feed people that don't eat tofu or don't think they like it, and I air fry it because it makes the tofu like people say it has more of a meat texture to it. It's crispier on the outside. I don't know. I haven't eaten meat since I was 5, so
nice.
All right, Jennifer, thank you for that plug. Now we need to. There's gonna be a line to rent that air fryer. Okay, so your vegetables should be well coated in the spice onion mix on the stove. If you have your coconut milk and you haven't opened it, grab your can opener and open that can of coconut milk.
Nice.
It looks like the coconut milk that we have is a classic coconut milk. You can also buy light coconut milk. If you buy the full classic coconut milk, so it won't say light, it's going to have more fat in it.
Sure.
And it's much creamier. So if you are trying to adapt your diet in any ways, you can always buy the lighter one. Or if you use the classic, you can always use half the can and just add water. So it's up to you. What we are going to do is use 1 can of the full fat coconut milk in our recipe. So once you have that opened, you can go ahead. Sometimes there is a thick layer at the top of the can of coconut milk. So sometimes you use a fork to kind of puncture through there. I'm just going to use my spoon. And it's just the thickened milk. And so that will melt in a way.
Cool.
Once you take that apart or take that off, and then more of the liquid will come out.
The creaminess will kind of help with the spice a little bit too.
Yeah, kind of like yogurt.
Right.
Help cool down other spices. The coconut milk tends to do that too. And then once all of the coconut milk has come out, I then take my can that has a lot of coconutty residue in it and fill that with water. And then you're going to dump that in as well.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, the library does check out a lot of cooking utensils. Like we have a spiralizer, an instant pot, an air fryer, and some other things I'm probably not thinking of, but they're all part
I did not know that.
They're all part of our library of things. That also includes like tools for the house, snowshoes, all kinds of different stuff.
Wow. Love the library of things.
Snowshoes and toothpaste.
Yeah.
It was funny. The first winter we got them, it was like the first week we had them. Somebody sent us a picture of themselves at Crater Lake in the snow wearing our snowshoes.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's awesome.
They traveled.
So now that you have your coconut milk and your water, you want the liquid to be covering the vegetables. Okay. So if there is not enough liquid to cover your vegetables, you'd need to add a little bit more water if you've used all of your coconut milk.
And you just started with a can of water.
Yep.
Coconut can. Okay.
You can even just add, depending on how many vegetables you have in here. It'll depend. And then once you mix that around and your coconut milk is well integrated in the liquid, you want your heat to, you can even turn your heat up a little bit because we want to get this up to slightly boiling.
Okay.
And then you're going to grab your peanut butter
Right.
And we're gonna add in the peanut butter.
I do want to add that I just took the tofu out of the oven. So if you put the tofu in for 5 extra minutes and forgot to set the timer, well, we are your timer. The tofu is out of the oven right now, so that's all good.
So most everybody should probably have their tofu out of the oven by now, or should have checked it by now.
Yes. How bad is it when you put something like that in and then like 20 minutes, 15 minutes later, you realize that you forgot to set a timer? And
all right.
That's me.
Wonderful. Cooks. Let's add our peanut butter. So 2 tablespoons.
Okay.
Usually creamy peanut butter is a little bit easier, but crunchy will also do, whatever you have. Crunchy just means you get some fun little bits.
Yeah.
So
you also have an ice cream maker in the rental things.
Oh
yes, we do,
what?
Susan. Thanks for the reminder.
Nice.
That sounds wonderful. Okay, and then I will also add in soy sauce. On the recipe, it also says coconut aminos. So Bragg's coconut aminos is a nice alternative to soy sauce if you're looking for some with lower sodium. You can also buy low sodium soy sauce. So we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. This is where we get all these flavors that make the curry so intense and flavorful and mysterious.
Yes.
Sometimes you eat it and you wonder, what is in here? Well, now you know. Lots of things. And if you go to a South Asian restaurant that's selling their own homemade curry, they'll have their own secret recipe with lots of incredible, really fresh spices that they source directly from producers, and it's hard to replicate.
Wow.
Generally, I was looking it up because I was curious. Generally, curry paste has things like coriander, ginger, cumin, lemongrass, obviously chilies are in there, garlic and cilantro and things like that. And so you get these like bright, like fresh herbs, like things like basil can be in there and stuff like that. And then you get warming spices like cumin and stuff like that. And then you get the spice from chili peppers. And then you also add things like lime, so you get this like acid aspect to it. So it's just curry is like a experience. You're going to get all different kinds of flavors, which is exciting and cool.
Awesome.
Okay. So now we let the curry cook. So once it all is stirred in there, the peanut butter is stirred in. You can leave it uncovered for 10. We'll start with 10 minutes. And you want it to be slightly simmering. So if you need to turn your heat up to get it to a level that it's simmering, you can really tell that it's cooking. You can do that. But we don't want it boiling. So if your curry is boiling, turn it down to just a low simmer and uncovered.
2 questions.
Hopefully you've been keeping an eye on your rice. I kind of forgot about mine, and it was sitting on the stove, just sitting there. So ours is going to be done in time at this point. So mine just started boiling, and I'm going to turn it down to a simmer.
But it probably should have been, what,
over
Tim,
to the
about
stove.
20 minutes on the rice?
Okay.
Sorry, Jamie, I forgot you had a question.
Turn that off?
Yes.
How much peanut butter did you put in?
2 tablespoons.
Okay, and then did they add the tofu into the curry yet, or is that still on the side?
Wait.
Okay.
Oh, no. You haven't added the tofu yet, right?
Okay.
Kelli,
how's everybody doing?
You haven't added the tofu yet, right? Kelli, can you hear me?
Has anybody given up and gone to easy tie?
I don't think she can hear.
Can you hear me, Jamie?
Can't hear you, Paul.
I can hear you, Paul.
Weird.
Check.
Alan, can you ask for me?
Uh-oh.
Interesting. I wonder if others can hear Paul.
We can hear Paul.
Oh
boy.
They can hear Paul.
I hear Paul.
Can you hear us, Jamie?
Can somebody ask the question for me?
Okay, we can't hear you all.
Well,
go ahead, ask
beautiful.
again, Jamie. They can't hear me.
I guess the most important part is that you can hear us, which is
Did you put the
our curry's cooking, our tofu's out, our rice is going to be done in time, just in time, I think, for everything.
We have not put the tofu in.
Just answered.
We're going to wait until the curry's been cooking about 10 minutes. Then we'll add in the tofu, or for one of our cooks who's adding in shrimp. Maybe based on your shrimp, if it says how long you should be cooking it in on the stove or sauteing, that's about how long you put it in the curry. Or you could put it in at the very last minute. Because shrimp isn't always great when it's overcooked.
I learned some interesting history. Do you want some interesting history? Now, this is just what I learned.
Wait, let's see if we're have any more questions.
Oh, okay.
Somebody's asking if you added cinnamon.
So the cinnamon, yes, you could add it now if you'd like. We'll probably add it when we add in the tofu if we want to. So it is included as one of the ingredients, but it could also be optional. It's going to make it warmer. Sometimes we don't add it on it like in the summer when we're making the curry because it can be really warming. But you could, if you'd like to add it now, you could. Or you would add it in when you add in the tofu.
Yeah, and you can start with less, although I don't think it calls for very much, but you can start with less and add a little bit more in depending on how you like it.
Ellen, do you mind popping up the chat?
I'm assuming you guys still can't hear me.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and look at the chat.
If you just click on the speech bubble there, yeah.
Oh, wonderful, Angie. Sounds like you're on top of it. Enjoy the meal and your friends. Oh, maybe that's from a long time ago. That's from a long time ago.
I think so.
Yeah, we're kind of in a sweet spot now where
Alan,
you're kind of just waiting for things to cook. You're waiting for things to cook through. And as soon as it is, do we know how long it's going to take for our curry to be ready?
10 minutes, Tim.
10 minutes. Okay, cool. So within about 10 minutes, you can start checking on things. If the vegetables look like they're ready, then you're probably ready to go. You can add the tofu in. You can cut some lime wedges. Lime goes really good with curry. You can squeeze that in before you start eating. If you have some cilantro, you can garnish with that and put it over some rice, and it's going to be really good. Right.
Alan, can you hear me?
Okay. Excellent.
Yes.
Feel free, if you have questions, to type them in the chat. We can see the chat. We can't hear you, but we're with you.
I did some quick research online today, and I learned a couple interesting things. One interesting thing I learned, and this is me doing quick research today, but one interesting thing I learned is that spicy like chilies were introduced to like Southeast Asia by the Portuguese when they came during like colonial times. So a lot of the spices would have been obviously already a part of these dishes, but the spicy chilies would not have been in the dish until the Portuguese came during colonial times.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting? So the really spiciness that we're used to might not have been a necessarily part of the dish.
Can somebody tell the cooks they have questions in the chat?
It's a real cultural exchange.
Yeah. And that the term curry, like we've referred to a blanket term curry, that was kind of like after the Vietnam War when Westerners started eating all of these dishes, they referred to it with a blanket term curry. Originally, there would have been lots of different terms for a lot of different complex dishes that would have been similar to what we're making here today.
Hey, Tim, can you check the chat?
Thanks, Joanne.
I don't know if he can hear me.
The co-op is an interesting stovetop that I have no idea how to operate.
I don't know if they can hear any of us.
Check the chat. Will the curry thicken up while it cooks? It will slightly. That's why I leave it uncovered.
What about canned corn, baby corn?
That could be a fun addition. Yeah, that could certainly be good. You probably wouldn't see that as much in more of a Thai curry. I think when I think about maybe the little corns, that seems more like it might be in a stir fry or in some Chinese dishes. It just depends. Also, I don't personally love the small corns, but do you?
I love this.
So Tim would be a fan if we added them to the curry.
Big fan.
Water chestnuts are also quite delicious in this type of curry. They add a really nice crunch. You can buy those in a little can too.
Answer you, Paul. No, we can't hear anyone. I don't know why the speaker's on, and I checked the settings and everything, and the speaker's there. I'm thinking of unplugging it for a minute and plugging it back in.
That's always the good.
Because everybody else can hear me, right? Okay.
I think it's on there.
Hey,
There we go.
You got it?
We got it. We're back.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, Alan.
Back.
Unplugging it, plugging it back in. Always works.
Perfect. Reboot.
Should we be adding our meat yet?
It's been about 10 minutes. We're just having some difficulties with our stovetop. How is everybody's looking? Has it been cooking and simmering for about 10 minutes? I'm getting some nods. Add it in.
I'm getting a lot of yes nods.
Yeah, you can add in all of your tofu if you would like. It should accommodate for that much tofu, a whole block of tofu.
Mm-hmm.
If you are somebody who wants to keep some to the side to put in something else another day, you could always keep some on the side. But throw all that tofu in there and mix it in, and then you'll let that cook for about 5 more minutes. If you'd like to add cinnamon, you could add that now. It's just going to add a little bit of another dimension to your curry. The curry powder that we added before we put in the curry paste does usually have a little bit of cinnamon or nutmeg in it. And so this will just enhance more of that flavor. And if you're going to add cinnamon, it's really only a 1/4 teaspoon. So it's a very little bit of amount. As most of us know, a little bit of cinnamon goes a long way.
I saw Julia put 2 minutes in chat, but I'm not sure what it's referring to.
2 minutes. Maybe 2 minutes left on your curry.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I found that.
2 minutes left. Thanks, Julia.
The powder curry. I don't know if you guys still carry two. There's like 2 different kinds of curry. There's like it's kind of just a regular curry, and then it's like the matcha curry or something like that. Madras.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is like hotter.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I bought it one time and put in the same amount that a normal do. It was like.
High octane curry.
Yeah, we just went with the regular curry powder, which I'm sure most of you did too.
We'll hope so.
Yeah. Double the spice.
If you start sweating.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Have some water nearby.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Have some
I wonder,
water.
like, if you realized if it was too hot, what if you could add anything that would cool it down?
That's a good question, Tim.
You know,
or coconut water.
Or coconut milk or something like that. Yeah.
But then it might be heavy on the coconut milk flavor.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's hard to go back.
Yeah.
Once you've added
Yes.
the really intense spiciness.
Yeah.
Toothpaste back in the tube.
Is there any way to thicken it up if the sauce is a little runny?
When you put it over your rice, the rice will absorb some of that. So the rice will make it a little bit thicker. So it will become more like a sauce, but it is going to be slightly runny. And if you did use the light coconut milk, it will be more runny than if you use the full fat coconut milk. Otherwise, sometimes when you have it the next day, it will be less runny.
Barbara said her vegetables don't seem soft, question mark, question mark.
Meaning they don't seem cooked?
I would take that.
Yeah, you can always cook it a little bit longer. Again, we're having difficulty with our stovetop, so I don't think any of our vegetables are cooked.
Right.
They seem pretty raw right now because this is not on. So you could cook it a little bit longer, maybe another 5, even 7 minutes.
Yeah, a number of people are still cooking theirs. I think the vegetables are still cooking.
Right. Keep going. Yeah, no problem. If you need to keep cooking it. What's lovely about the curry is it's meant to all meld together. And so if you keep cooking it, it's just going to get more intense and more and well cooked. So even if you cook this and you're not going to eat for another 30 minutes and you just leave it on the stovetop, that's okay. Just make sure it's still warm. It's not something that you have to cook and serve immediately.
Right. And I would think it would cook down a little too, like some of that liquid.
Absolutely. I'm sure that there are some great recipes for crock pot curry or instant pot curry where things cook kind of over a longer period of time and really meld together.
Or you could be like Steve and Joanne, take a wine break.
Excellent.
That's always
That is
recommended.
great. Yeah, good for how many days? You could probably eat this for a couple days, like 2 or 3 days, and then freeze it. If you freeze, it's probably good for a month. If you freeze
nice.
it without the meat in it, it might, like if you actually use chicken or shrimp, it will probably last a little bit longer. I usually don't have enough left to freeze. We usually eat it all. Especially the next day, it's so good for lunch.
When you're saying you could keep in the fridge for a few days, right?
Yeah,
definitely.
Cool.
Usually keep it separate from the rice. So if you've leftover curry and rice, it's just containers. And then you, just like when you would, if you ordered takeout, they would give it to you in separate containers.
Right.
I have a question about the curry paste. It says refrigerate, but it's only good for 10 days. Is that correct?
Can be, yes. So depending on your curry paste, you do want to refrigerate it after you open it. Some of them say, let's see what this one says. This one says best consumed within 30 days. A little note on those labeling. There is absolutely nothing that, there's no policy or procedure anywhere through the FDA or USDA that defines best by. And so it's typically what the manufacturer decides and recommends. So you could see it being there longer. We've definitely gone longer than 30 days and used the curry paste. You could probably also freeze it if you really wanted to. You could divide it in up. I like to do this with tomato paste. Put it into little tablespoon or 2 tablespoon like little dot or like block little things in a plastic bag, and then you can just pull it out and use it again in the future if you really want to keep it longer. And then it's probably good another couple months. But yeah, you'd want to use it again soon to make something.
But yes, we've kept curry paste way longer than 30 days.
Like a year, probably.
Right.
They said we're going on 6 months, still super spicy, seems fine. I totally agree.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much.
Yeah. Korea said she wasn't able to get all the tofu into the pot because it was too delicious for snacking. Good. Glad you like the tofu.
I agree, Korean. It is a delicious snack. Sometimes after I make it too, I just get it right off the baking sheet. Or I love it. Little pieces come off and they get really crispy. They're very good.
Nice.
So if everything is still cooking, that's absolutely okay. A note on some extra garnishments that you could use for your curry. Some people will cut up lime wedges, which I believe Tim mentioned earlier, and then you can use the lime juice in the curry at the very end. The acidity helps kind of cut some of the spices. That can be a really nice addition. So we will do that right before we serve it. You can also just keep those on the side, and if people want to add lime to their curry specifically, they can as well. You could also add fresh herbs, like cilantro is delicious in curry. It can creates this really nice fresh flavor. It's nice to have a fresh herb on top of your dish. It also makes it look very fancy. And so you can really serve up a delicious curry with fresh cilantro on top, or you can mix it in with your rice as well. Some other things that they'll recommend, you could always, an alternative to rice or cauliflower rice or quinoa is steamed greens. So if you're really looking to try and not use any carbs or anything, you could make a bunch of steamed greens and have that served with your curry. You can also add, to build on the peanut flavor, if you love peanut, you could add some roasted or salted peanuts on top, even the chopped up peanuts, kind of like you might have in a pad thai dish.
Nice.
Always add that on top too. That would add a little bit more crunch to your dish as well. So if you want to really fancy it up and have a little bar of garnishments, you could add different things onto the top of the tofu or the curry when it's done.
Nice.
We kind of make a plate.
Can we add the tofu into the curry?
Yeah, of course.
We never added our tofu into the curry, but we will now because it actually looks done.
So Kelly, folks should wait till the vegetables look done before they add their tofu or protein?
They could. Sorry, I'm just checking out one second.
I mean, the tofu is cooked, right? So
the vegetables, yes, should be mostly done.
You can add the tofu in right at the end, basically.
And before you do, Kelly, Alan, we have a request to see the inside of the pot.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
This is what ours looks like.
Thank you.
We got lots of veggies. It's got this kind of nice brownish, light brown color.
So you see that, Joanne? Theirs is still pretty liquidy too.
Yeah.
Is liquidy a word?
Sure.
I think so.
Did I make that up?
It's not going to get super thick.
Yeah, there's definitely
some. For the rice, usually I like to it's not like a bowl of soup once I put it all together. It's more like I'm putting gravy on top of rice or something like that with the vegetables.
Not as thick as gravy.
Yeah, it's not going to be as thick.
Yeah, so the spectrum is like soup, sauce, gravy.
It's like a sauce.
In terms of thickness, it's a sauce, like tomato sauce on pasta.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a runny kind of sauce, and then the noodles absorb some of it, and maybe you have to use a little bit of a spoon to consume some of it.
Jennifer was saying hers looks much redder. Do you think that's because she used more curry paste, or?
It could be. It could also be the brand of her curry paste just is more vibrant in the red color.
Oh, okay.
Depending on your ingredients, it will be a little bit more colorful.
Right.
You can also, if you want to, you can always get a tasting spoon and get a little bit of the curry in your spoon, cool it off, and taste the flavor. Now is a great time to taste your flavor and decide, do I want to add more curry paste? Do I make it a little bit spicier? Do I want to add that cinnamon in? Totally up to you.
Cool. Yeah, I think she might have got a different one. She said the co-op was out.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll buy the yellow curry paste is quite yellow, mostly from what Tim was saying. I think the turmeric green curry paste has that beautiful green color, and so you'll get more of that comes out when you use the green curry paste.
But the green's a little spicier, right?
It actually, I think it's a little bit milder.
Oh, is it? Okay, I heard it was spicier.
Yeah.
But again, it's like it just all depends on the brand. If you have like a red curry from one brand and it's milder, and then you try another brand and that brand tends to be spicier than the green is going to be, so it just kind of depends.
Oh, good job, Lorraine. Go ahead and enjoy it, please. Don't let us keep you if your food's ready. Lorraine said hers is done. And then Laura off topic asked if the Library of Things has an electric lawnmower. That is one thing we don't have right now, but good question, Laura. You can always request it. I just don't know where we'll keep that one. Who's going to take up a lot of space?
Okay. So does anybody, before we make a plate, just to show you, does anybody have any questions? Do they need help troubleshooting?
Yeah, speak up now. Feel free to unmute. I think we're good.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Joanne.
How do you make your curry sweeter?
Sweeter. So I would imagine if you're using this recipe, you could probably use a peanut butter. That's a sweeter peanut butter that might add a little bit of flavor. I have seen some people use maple syrup sometimes, but typically it's still a savory dish, a warm savory dish. So the sweetness will come out in some of the spices and in some of the vegetables. So it's not really a sweet dish.
Cinnamon, maybe a little more of that would help.
A little bit more of a sweetness.
No problem, Karina. Enjoy.
Okay.
Somebody asked, do you put the lime in the pot or on the individual serving? I think Kelly was saying you could do it either way. You're going to put it in the pot for yours, right, Kelly?
We are. Tim, do you want to put the lime?
Sure. Am I squirting it in?
You're squirting. So don't put the actual lime in there. Squirt it.
But Kelly was saying if not everybody likes lime, you might just want to put lime wedges on the side so people can apply it after.
Exactly, yeah. Kind of a garnish.
Up to you. I like lime in most things, so I'd probably put it in the pot. I especially like lime with Thai food. Or a curry like Massaman. All right, looks like we're plating.
Plating it up.
I like to make mine look pretty.
Of course.
Do you want me to use the same one?
But it's going to taste great whether it looks pretty or not.
Of course.
No pressure.
Oh, and we love to get pictures of your completed meals. So please email me pictures of your plated dishes if you haven't dug in yet. And you guys all have my email in your Zoom confirmation emails. Thank you.
Give a little, squeeze that now.
So you guys put the lime in the pot and then add lime when you're eating it.
Yeah, but also because Alan's going to take a great picture of this plate.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Right, but yeah.
Suzanne said, many thanks. Looks like it's going to be great. Thanks, Suzanne.
Like it.
You want Alan to show off this plate here?
This is our plate.
You can give us an overhead view, Alan.
We got this coming for you. And I like we typically will eat curry with a spoon and maybe chopsticks or a fork to eat some of the vegetables, but it's kind of nice to get a little bit of that sauce in there.
Oh, yeah.
This is our delicious curry.
Yum.
Kind of create your portion of rice and then sometimes I'll ladle just the vegetables onto the plate and then take more of the sauce.
Sure.
And pour the sauce on top of the vegetables to surround the rice. And then it gets all nice and creamy and delicious.
Anna said, thanks. This was fun. Thanks for joining us, Anna.
Yeah. And think about how, we took our time kind of explaining things, but it's a pretty fast process. If it's a weeknight and you need to make something quick and you have curry paste, you can pretty much whip this up if you have vegetables and some kind of protein.
Yeah.
Y'all, Julia had a good question. She asked, does the tofu sit in the sauce to marinate for a certain time on the stove?
At this point, you're just going to leave the tofu in there and your curry is done. And so it will just stay in there if you eat it tonight, if you eat it tomorrow. It's all going to be one dish now, one pot curry.
Right. But you don't need to wait. Once the tofu's in, you can eat it right away.
Yeah, it's ready for you.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Angie said, I'm holding off plating until guests arrive, but we'll show you a photo of the pot. Thanks, Angie. Thanks, Angie.
Ooh, yummy.
Oh, they're going to be serving on basmati. Ooh, nice. Thank you. Please email me.
So good.
Those photos.
Plus guests. Sounds fun.
Jamie said, awesome. Thanks. We're going to eat. Enjoy.
Yum.
Later, Dana. See you, Jamie.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
Everybody's saying thank you. Tastes great. Everybody appreciates all the information. Good night, Julia. Awesome. Loretta said thanks for a new curry recipe. Yeah, everybody enjoy.
Cheers, Joanne.
Yeah. Cheers. Have a good night.
Yes. We know Joanne and Steve are going to enjoy it.
Bon appetit.
Thanks, Laura. Trisha said, excellent.
Love it.
I can hear my email dinging too. I have a feeling they're sending me pictures as we speak.
Wonderful.
Maxine nodded yes. Thanks, Alexandra. It's our pleasure.
Picture you, if it's okay, I'll put it right back.
Most people have signed off by now, but next month we're going to have a vegan shawarma bowl by Little Plant. I'm hoping to get that posted tomorrow. Little Plant's a new vegan food cart. I think they're going to do our June recipe as well.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Oh, it looks amazing. Have Tim show you the picture. I sent it to you, right, Tim?
Yeah.
Yeah, show Kelly the picture. It looks good.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Good. Okay. Ooh, yum.
Awesome. Has anybody not finished their meal? Because we have a no cook left behind philosophy here, and we don't want to sign off until we know everybody's completed their curry. Maxine, did you finish? Nice.
Yum. I know. You don't want to turn the plate. Ooh, yum.
That looks good, Maxine. Nice work. How you doing, Jennifer?
Doesn't it feel satisfying to make a curry and just see it? It's beautiful.
I'm like satisfied seeing their curries.
I know, the smell. Oh.
I didn't make anything and I feel satisfied.
Come on down to the co-op. We have extra.
If I wasn't so tired, I probably would, but I think I might just go up and I have a feeling I need to finish dinner upstairs. Well, if everybody's done, I think we might sign off. Mine's going.
Okay.
Yeah, Jennifer said yours is gonna have to cook longer. Are you good though, Jennifer? Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for community cooking tonight. It's been fun, and we'll hope to see you all next month. Thank you, Kelly and Tim, as always. And appreciate y'all.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Y'all have a good evening. There you go, Maxine. I'll let Joanne know. Joanne, Steve, they're not alone.
Excellent.
Enjoy. Take care, everybody.